A man touched Mamie Johnson on the 2 train. A stranger stepped in to help. By sunset, Harlem had gone silent, and 3 days later, the city would understand why. Chapter 1. The Wrong Hand. It's 1963, a Tuesday afternoon on the 2 train heading uptown. Mamie Johnson sits near the window, shopping bags at her feet. She's dressed well, not flashy, just sharp. The kind of woman who commands respect without asking for it. She's reading, minding her business. That's when he sits down. A man in his 30s, drunk maybe, reckless, definitely. He leans too close, says something low, something ugly. Mamie doesn't respond. She just shifts her body away, tightens her grip on her bag. He takes that as permission. His hand moves, touches her knee. She pulls back. Hard. Her voice cuts through the subway noise. Don't. One word. Final. And he laughs. Leans in again. That's when the veteran stands up. His name is Claude, 42 years old. Korean War, 2 tours. Came home to Harlem with a limp and a sharp sense of what's right. He's 3 seats down. He sees it all. And he doesn't hesitate. Claude steps forward, places a hand on the man's shoulder. Firm, not violent, and says, "She asked you to stop." The drunk turns, sizing him up. Sees the limp, sees the age. Thinks he can push. "This ain't your business, old man." Claude doesn't blink. "It is now." The tension tightens. A few passengers look away. A couple lean forward. Mamie stands, calm as stone, and says quietly, "It's fine. I'm getting off." She moves toward the door. Claude stays between her and the man until the train stops at 125th Street. She steps off. So does Claude. The drunk stays seated and smirking, unaware. Mamie turns to Claude on the platform. "Thank you," he nods, tips an invisible hat. "Ain't nothing, ma'am, just what's right." She studies him for a moment. Then she asks, "What's your name?" Claude Winters." "I'm Mamie." She doesn't say her last name, doesn't need to, not yet. They part ways. Claude heads toward Lenox Avenue, thinking nothing of it. Mamie walks east, her mind already working, because she knows something Claude doesn't. By the time Mamie reaches her building on 139th Street, 3 people have already seen her. One of them is a runner for Bumpy's crew. Word travels fast. Mamie doesn't tell Bumpy herself. She never does. She's not the type to ask for revenge. She's not the type to ask for anything. But Harlem talks, and Harlem knows. By nightfall, Bumpy Johnson has heard the whole story. Not from Mamie, from the streets. He sits in his apartment, silent. A glass of bourbon untouched on the table. His face shows nothing. But everyone in the room knows. You don't touch Mamie Johnson. Not because Bumpy is violent, because Bumpy is principled. And principle in Harlem is more dangerous than rage. Bumpy asks one question, who helped her? His lieutenant answers, veteran. Name's Claude Winters. Lives over on Lenox. Bumpy nods slowly. Find him, respectfully. Then he asks the second question, the one that changes everything. And the other man? We're looking. Bumpy stands, buttons his jacket. Don't look. No. The room empties in silence. That night, Claude Winters sits in his small apartment, unaware that his name is now being spoken in rooms he's never seen. Unaware that he just became part of a story Harlem will tell for decades. He did the right thing. And in Bumpy Johnson's world, that means something. Chapter 2. The King of Harlem. Bumpy Johnson doesn't need to raise his voice. He never has. In a world where most men scream to be heard, Bumpy speaks once and the room goes silent. That's power. Not the kind you take, the kind you earn. He was born Ellsworth Raymond Johnson in 1905, South Carolina. Moved to Harlem as a teenager, with nothing but a sharp mind and a sharper sense of survival. The streets tried to break him. They failed. By the time he was 30, he wasn't just surviving, he was governing. Not through fear, through respect. Bumpy understood something most gangsters never do. Violence is easy. Control is rare. Harlem in 1963 is a chessboard. And Bumpy has been playing longer than anyone still breathing. He runs the numbers, the protection, the flow of money that keeps the neighborhood alive when the city pretends it doesn't exist. But he doesn't flaunt it. No gold chains, no loud suits, no entourage for show. Bumpy walks Harlem like a mayor, shakes hands with shopkeepers, asks about grandkids, pays for funerals when families can't afford them. People don't follow Bumpy because they're afraid. They follow him because he protects. And in a neighborhood where the police don't, that matters. His enemies have tried. The Italian mobs wanted Harlem in the 30s and 40s, thought they could push in, take over, cut Bumpy out. They learned. Bumpy didn't meet force with force. He met it with strategy. He made alliances that built loyalty, turned their soldiers into his informants, made it more expensive to fight him than to work with him. By the time the dust settled, Bumpy wasn't just still standing, he was untouchable. The Italians respected him. That respect was rarer than fear, and far more valuable. But respect has rules, and Bumpy's rules are simple. Don't touch civilians. Don't disrespect women. Don't bring chaos to the neighborhood. Break those rules and Bumpy doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He just resolves. Quietly, permanently. Mamie knows this. That's why she didn't tell him about the subway. She's been married to Bumpy since 1948. 15 years. She knows how he thinks, knows how he moves. She didn't want to put that weight on him. But Harlem didn't give her a choice. Because in Harlem, not disrespecting Mamie Johnson isn't just an insult to her. It's an insult to the order Bumpy has spent decades building. An order, once broken, demands a response. That night, Bumpy sits alone in his study. No music, no noise, just thought. Mamie is in the next room. She hasn't said a word about what happened. She won't. But Bumpy knows. He always knows. He thinks about Claude Winters, the veteran who stepped in, the man who did what most people wouldn't. Bumpy respects that. In his world, loyalty and courage are currency, and Claude just made a deposit he doesn't even know about. Then Bumpy thinks about the other man, the drunk, the fool, the one who thought he could put his hands on a woman and walk away clean. Bumpy doesn't feel anger. He feels clarity. This isn't about revenge. It's about principle. Yeah, you let one man disrespect your wife on a train, and tomorrow 10 men think they can disrespect your business. Respect isn't maintained by words, it's maintained by action. Calm, calculated, unmistakable. Bumpy finishes his bourbon, stands, straightens his tie in the mirror. He looks the same as he did this morning. But Harlem will feel different by the end of the week. The next morning, Bumpy walks 125th Street, like he always does. Stops at the barber shop, talks about the Knicks, laughs at a joke. No one would know anything is happening. But his crew does. They've already been given instructions. Find the man. Find out everything. And wait, because Bumpy doesn't rush. Rushing is for amateurs. Bumpy orchestrates. By noon, they have a name. By evening, they have an address. By midnight, they know his routine. It's his job, his debts, his family. Bumpy listens to the report in silence. Then he says 5 words. Don't touch him yet. His lieutenant looks confused. Boss. Bumpy leans back, calm. First, we thank the man who helped her. Claude? Yeah, Claude. The lieutenant nods. Because that's the difference. Most men would have already acted. Bumpy thinks first. He rewards loyalty before he punishes disrespect. That's why Harlem trusts him. That's why Harlem follows him. The next day, Claude Winters gets a knock on his door. He opens it. 2 men stand there, well-dressed, polite. Mr. Winters? Claude tenses. Old instincts. Yeah? Mr. Johnson would like a word. If you have time. Claude's heart skips. He's heard the name. Everyone in Harlem has, but he's never met the man. Am I in trouble? One of the men smiles. Gentle. No, sir, opposite. Claude exhales. All right, let me get my coat. They drive him to a quiet restaurant on Lenox. Not flashy, not hidden, just respected. Bumpy is already there, sitting alone in a corner booth. He stands when Claude walks in, extends a hand. Claude Winters, thank you for coming. Claude shakes it. Firm, respectful. Mr. Johnson, Bumpy, please, sit. They sit. Bumpy orders coffee for both of them. Then he looks Claude in the eye. You helped my wife 2 days ago. Claude nods slowly. I didn't know she was your wife, Bumpy raises a hand, gentle. I know. That's why I wanted to meet you. Claude waits. Bumpy continues. You didn't help her because of who she is. You helped her because it was right. Claude nods. Yes, sir. Bumpy smiles. Rare. Real. That matters. He slides an envelope across the table. Claude looks at it but doesn't touch it. I didn't do it for money. I know, but I'm giving it anyway. Bumpy's voice is calm, final. You did something most men won't. You stepped up. In my world, that gets remembered. Claude hesitates, then takes the envelope. Thank you. Bumpy leans forward slightly. One more thing. Yes? The man who touched her. Did you see his face? Claude goes still. He knows what this question means. He thinks for a long moment. Then he nods. I did. Bumpy doesn't smile, doesn't react. He just nods back. Thank you, Claude. Claude leaves the restaurant 10 minutes later. The envelope in his coat pocket feels heavier than it should. Not because of the money, because of what it represents. He just became part of something bigger. And Harlem is about to remember why you don't disrespect Bumpy Johnson's family. Chapter 3. Word reaches 139th Street. Bumpy doesn't go home right away. He walks. Harlem at dusk is a different animal. The streets hum with life. Kids playing stickball under streetlights. Women coming home from work. Men gathered on corners, talking low. Bumpy moves through it all like water. A nod here, a wave there, a hand on a young man's shoulder. Stay out of trouble. The kid grins. Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. This is his kingdom. Not because he conquered it, because he protects it. But tonight the walk isn't just routine. It's preparation. Bumpy is thinking, calculating, measuring the weight of what comes next. Because what happened on that train wasn't just an insult to Mamie. It was a test. Now a test of whether Bumpy Johnson still holds the line, whether his name still means what it used to. In his world, perception is everything. You let one man disrespect your wife in public, and the next day someone tries your business. The day after that, someone tries your life. Respect isn't a gift, it's a structure, and structures need maintenance. By the time Bumpy reaches 139th Street, the sun has set completely. His building stands quiet. Mamie is upstairs, probably reading, probably pretending nothing happened. That's her way. Strong, silent, unbothered. But Bumpy knows better. She's bothered. Not because she's afraid, because she knows what's coming. And she knows Bumpy well enough to know he won't let it slide. He climbs the stairs slowly, unlocks the door. Mamie is in the living room, a book in her lap. The radio playing low, Billie Holiday soft and aching. She looks up when he enters. You're late. Bumpy removes his hat, hangs it by the door. Had some business. Mamie doesn't ask what kind. She never does. But her eyes linger on him a moment longer than usual. You met with Claude. It's not a question. Bumpy nods. Good man. He is. Silence, not uncomfortable, just heavy. Bumpy sits beside her, close but not touching. Mamie. She closes her book. Bumpy, don't. Don't what? Don't do what you're about to do. Her voice is calm, steady. But there's a plea beneath it. Bumpy looks at her. You want me to let it go. I want you to be safe. I am safe. You're careful. That's not the same thing. Bumpy exhales, soft. He put his hands on you. And Claude stopped him. It's over. It's not. Mamie's jaw tightens. It is, if you let it be. Bumpy shakes his head, gentle but firm. It's not about you anymore. It's about what happens if I let it slide. So this is about your reputation. It's about order. The word lands heavy. Mamie knows that word. She's heard it 1,000 times. Order, control, respect. The pillars Bumpy built his life on. The pillars that kept Harlem stable when everything else was chaos. She looks away. I don't want blood on my name, Bumpy. There won't be. You can't promise that. I can. He reaches for her hand. She lets him take it. I'm not a young man anymore, Mamie. I don't move like I used to. But I still move smart. Smart doesn't mean safe. It's the closest thing I've got. Mamie studies him, searching for something. Hesitation, doubt, recklessness. She finds none, just calm, just certainty. She squeezes his hand. Then do what you have to do, but come home. Bumpy nods. Always. That night, Bumpy sits in his study again, alone. The door closed. His crew knows not to disturb him when the door's closed. This is where he thinks, where he plans, where he turns chaos into strategy. He already knows the man's name. Vincent Culligan, 34, Irish, works the docks part-time, drinks too much, gambles more. He's got debts all over Hell's Kitchen. No ties to the Italians, no ties to anyone who matters. Just a drunk with bad judgment and worse luck. Bumpy opens a folder on his desk. Inside, a photo, an address, a list of known associates. Vincent's life reduced to paper. Bumpy studies it like a general studying a map. He's not angry. And anger clouds judgment. He's resolved. Vincent made a choice. Now Bumpy will make one. But it has to be the right choice. Because this isn't just about punishment. It's about message. Bumpy's mind runs through options. Option 1, direct confrontation. Quick, clean, personal. But that's messy. Too many witnesses, too much attention. Option 2, a beating. Public, symbolic. But that invites retaliation. Even from a man like Vincent, someone might feel obligated to respond. Option 3, isolation. Cut him off. Let the streets handle him naturally, but that's too slow, too uncertain. No. Bumpy needs something else. Something that sends the message without starting a war. Something that reminds Harlem and everyone watching that Bumpy Johnson doesn't need to be loud to be heard. Then it comes to him. Not violence, a disappearance. Not permanent, just educational. Bumpy picks up the phone, dials. A voice answers on the second ring. Yeah, it's me. I need 3 days. 3 days for what? To make a man understand respect. A pause. Alive? Alive, but changed. When? Tomorrow night. Consider it done. Bumpy hangs up. He leans back in his chair, closes his eyes. Not to rest, to visualize. In his mind, he sees it. Vincent Culligan walking home from the bar. A car pulling up beside him. No sirens, no drama. Just professionals doing professional work. Vincent won't be hurt, not physically, but he'll be educated. 3 days in a place where no one can hear him. 3 days to think about his choices. 3 days to understand that some women are untouchable. Not because of fear, because of principle. And when he's released, he'll walk away, changed. Harlem will hear about it, quietly. The way all the best lessons are taught. Bumpy opens his eyes. The plan is set. Now, all that's left is execution. And in Bumpy Johnson's world, execution is an art form. The next evening, Bumpy receives a call. It's done. He's secure. Good. 3 days. No marks, just time. Understood. Bumpy hangs up. He pours himself a drink. Bourbon. Neat. He doesn't celebrate, doesn't smile. He just sits, calm, patient, waiting for the city to learn what Harlem already knows. You don't touch Mamie Johnson, and you don't test Bumpy's mercy twice. Chapter 4. The Veteran's Name. 3 days pass. Harlem moves like it always does. Merchants open their shops. Kids walk to school. The rhythm of the neighborhood continues steady and sure. But underneath there's a hum, a whisper. People notice when someone goes missing, especially when that someone was seen drinking at O'Malley's on Tuesday night and hasn't been seen since. Vincent Culligan's name starts circulating. Quiet at first, then louder. You seen Vinny? Nah, not since Tuesday. Think he skipped town? He owe you money too? Man owes everybody. No panic, no alarm, just curiosity. Because in Harlem, people disappear for all kinds of reasons. Most of them come back. Some don't. Bumpy hears the whispers. He doesn't respond to them, doesn't acknowledge them. He moves through his week like nothing has changed. Wednesday, he's at the barber shop. Thursday, he stops by the church, drops an envelope for the roof fund. Friday, he has lunch with an old friend from the Bronx. To anyone watching, and Bumpy Johnson is just being Bumpy Johnson, calm, present, untouchable. But Friday evening, Bumpy makes a visit. Alone, no crew, no driver, just him. He walks 6 blocks east toward Lenox Avenue, hands in his pockets, hat tipped low against the autumn wind. He stops in front of a narrow brownstone, 3rd floor. He climbs the steps, knocks, twice. Firm but polite. Claude Winters opens the door. He's in shirt sleeves, reading glasses perched on his nose. The apartment behind him is small but clean. A radio plays jazz in the corner. He sees Bumpy and freezes. Not from fear, from surprise. Mr. Johnson. Claude, got a minute? Claude steps aside immediately. Of course, come in. Bumpy enters, removes his hat. The apartment smells like coffee and old books. A single lamp lights the room. There's a photo on the wall. Claude in uniform, younger, standing with his unit. Bumpy notices it. Korea? Yes, sir. 51 to 53. Bumpy nods, respect in his eyes. Hard years. They were. Claude gestures to a chair. Please, sit. Can I get you something? Coffee? Coffee's fine. Claude moves to the kitchen. Bumpy sits, taking in the room. No clutter, no excess. Just a man living simply, honorably. Claude returns with 2 cups, hands one to Bumpy, sits across from him. I wasn't expecting you. Bumpy sips, nods approval. Good coffee. My mother's recipe. Little cinnamon. Smart woman. Claude smiles. She was. A pause, not awkward, just respectful. Then Bumpy sets his cup down. I came to thank you again. Claude shakes his head. You already did. You know, in the envelope, I'm not talking about money. Claude goes quiet. Bumpy leans forward slightly. You didn't just help my wife, Claude. You reminded me that there are still men in this city who do the right thing without thinking about what it costs them. Claude looks down. I just did what anyone should have done. But most wouldn't have. Bumpy's voice is calm, certain. Most would have looked away, pretended they didn't see it, told themselves it wasn't their business. That's not how I was raised. I know, that's why I'm here. Bumpy reaches into his coat, pulls out another envelope, smaller than the first. He places it on the table between them. Claude stares at it but doesn't move. Mr. Johnson, I can't, it's not money. Claude looks up. Bumpy taps the envelope. It's a number. My personal line. Hey, you ever need anything, you call that number. Claude hesitates. I don't want to be in your debt. Bumpy shakes his head. You're not. You're in my respect. There's a difference. Claude stares at him for a long moment. Then slowly, he takes the envelope. Thank you. Bumpy nods. You served your country. You served my wife. Far as I'm concerned, Harlem owes you. I don't need anything from Harlem. Maybe not today, but life's long, Claude, and it's unpredictable. Bumpy stands. Claude does the same. One more thing. Yes? Bumpy's voice drops. Not threatening, just clear. The man who touched her. Vincent Culligan. Claude tenses. You found him. I did. Is he alive? But learning. Claude exhales. Good. Bumpy studies him. You don't strike me as a violent man. I'm not. Nah, but I'm not a fool either. Claude meets his gaze. Some men don't learn unless they're taught. And some lessons need to be direct. Bumpy smiles, faint. You understand the world, Claude. I've seen enough of it. They shake hands at the door. Firm, equal. Not boss and subject. Just 2 men who understand respect. Take care of yourself, Mr. Johnson. Bumpy, please. Bumpy. You too, Claude. And remember, you ever need me, you call. I will. Bumpy steps into the hallway. Puts his hat back on. Turns. Claude? Yeah? Thank you. For being the kind of man this city needs more of. Claude nods. No words. Just understanding. Bumpy walks down the stairs and back onto Lenox Avenue. The evening air is cool. The street is alive with voices and music. He doesn't hurry. Doesn't look over his shoulder. Just walks. Thinking. Claude Winters closed the door and stood there for a moment. The envelope in his hand. He didn't open it right away, just held it. Because he understood what it represented. Protection, access, a connection to the most powerful man in Harlem. Most men would have been thrilled. Claude just felt the weight of it. Because power, even when offered with respect, comes with responsibility. And Claude had spent his whole life trying to stay out of other people's wars. But as he sat back down, the coffee cooling in his cup, Claude thought about Bumpy Johnson, the way she'd thanked him on the platform, the way she'd carried herself, calm, dignified, unshaken. And he thought about the man who'd touched her, the drunk, the fool. Claude didn't know where Vincent Culligan was, didn't need to, but he knew one thing for certain. That man had made the worst mistake of his life. Not because Bumpy Johnson was violent, but because Bumpy Johnson was thorough. Claude finally opened the envelope. Inside, a slip of paper with a phone number. Nothing else, no note, no instructions, just a number. Claude folded it carefully, placed it in his wallet. And as he did, he realized something. He'd just become part of a story bigger than himself. A story about respect, about principle, about what happens when you stand up for what's right, even when you don't know who's watching. Harlem was watching. It always was. That night, Bumpy sits with Mamie. No words about Vincent, no updates, just silence. Comfortable, shared. Mamie knows. She always knows. And she knows that somewhere in the city, a man is learning a lesson he'll never forget. Not through violence, through time, through isolation, through the quiet, unavoidable realization that some people are protected by more than just laws. They're protected by legacy. Chapter 5. 3 Days of Silence. Vincent Culligan wakes up in darkness. Not the kind of darkness you get when you close your eyes. The kind you feel in your chest. Heavy. Complete. Endless. He tries to move. Can't. His hands are bound behind him. Not tight enough to hurt, just tight enough to remind him he's not in control anymore. He's sitting in a chair. Wood. Old. The kind that creaks when you shift your weight. He shifts. It creaks. The sound echoes in the silence. Hello? His voice cracks. No answer. Hello? Still nothing. Just his own breathing. Fast, shallow, panicked. Now Vincent tries to remember. Tuesday night. O'Malley's. 4 whiskeys deep, maybe 5. He'd been talking loud, laughing louder. Someone bought him a shot. Then, nothing. A gap. He remembers leaving the bar, stumbling toward the corner, the cold air hitting his face. Then a car. No sirens, no shouting. Just a car pulling up beside him, and hands. Professional hands, not rough, not violent, just certain. A cloth over his mouth. A chemical smell. Then black. And now this. Wherever this is, Vincent's heart hammers. I got money, you hear me? I can pay. Silence. Come on, man, talk to me. What do you want? Nothing. No footsteps, no voices. Just the sound of his own fear filling the room. Hours pass. Vincent can't tell how many. There's no light, no windows, no reference point. Just darkness and silence. At some point, he hears a door open, footsteps slow, deliberate. Hey! Hey! Who are you? What do you want? A hand touches his shoulder. Vincent flinches. The hand doesn't grip, doesn't threaten. It just rests there. A moment later, something is placed in his lap. A bottle. Water. The cap is already off. Vincent hesitates, then drinks. He's so thirsty he doesn't care if it's poisoned. It's not. Just water. When he finishes, the bottle is taken away. The footsteps retreat. The door closes. Silence again. Vincent's mind races. Who is this? What do they want? Why aren't they talking? He runs through every possibility. The docks. Maybe he pissed off the wrong crew. The gambling debts. Maybe someone finally came to collect? The fight last month outside the pool hall. Maybe that guy's brother found him. Yeah, but none of it makes sense. Because if they wanted money, they'd say so. If they wanted revenge, he'd already be dead. This is something else, something worse. They want him to think. Day 2, or what Vincent assumes is day 2. Time has no meaning here. He's been fed once, bread, cheese, water. No words, no explanations, just hands in the dark. Efficient, impersonal. Like he's cargo, not a person. Vincent's panic has shifted. Now it's dread. Cold, steady, creeping. Because he's starting to realize they don't need to hurt him. The darkness is doing it for them. The silence is doing it for them. The waiting is doing it for them. He thinks about his life, really thinks about it, for the first time in years. The drinking, the gambling, the fights, the way he treats people when he's drunk, the things he says, yeah, the things he does. The woman on the train, oh God. The woman on the train, it hits him like a punch to the gut. That's what this is. He touched her. He touched her. And someone cared enough to do this. Vincent's stomach drops. I'm sorry. His voice is a whisper. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I was drunk, I didn't. No response, just his own words echoing back at him. Hollow, meaningless. Day 3. Vincent has stopped yelling, stopped bargaining. He just sits, breathing, thinking. The silence has stripped everything away. The bravado, the excuses, the alcohol-fueled confidence. All that's left is the truth. He's a small man who made a big mistake, and now he's paying for it. At some point, he doesn't know when, the door opens again. Footsteps. Different this time. Heavier, slower, more deliberate. Vincent tenses. A voice speaks. Deep, calm, close. Vincent Culligan. It's not a question. Vincent swallows. Yeah, that's me. Do you know why you're here? Vincent nods, then remembers the darkness. Yes. Say it. The woman, on the train. Her name is Mamie. Vincent's throat tightens. Mamie. I'm sorry, I swear to God, I'm sorry. You touched her. I was drunk. I didn't know. You don't touch women, drunk or sober. You don't touch women who say no. The voice isn't angry, it's just factual, like stating the weather. Vincent nods frantically. I know, I won't, I swear, I won't. A pause, then. Mamie is protected. Not by fear, by respect. Do you understand? Yes. Say it. She's protected, by respect. Good. The man steps closer. Vincent can feel him now, and the weight of his presence. You're going home today? Vincent exhales. Relief floods through him. Thank you, I swear, I'll... Listen. Vincent shuts up. You're going home. You're going to walk out of here. No one touched you. No one hurt you. You're alive, healthy, whole. Yes, thank you. But you're going to remember these 3 days. Vincent nods. I will. And you're going to remember why you were here. I will. And if you ever disrespect another woman the way you disrespected Mamie Johnson, you won't get 3 days in the dark. The voice drops, colder now. You'll get forever. Vincent's blood turns to ice. I understand. Good. Hands untie him, gentle, professional. The blindfold stays on. He's guided to his feet, walked forward, through a door, upstairs. Fresh air hits his face. Cool, clean, the blindfold is removed. Vincent blinks against the light. He's standing on a street corner, somewhere in Hell's Kitchen, 2 blocks from his apartment. The men are already gone, no car, no sound, just Vincent, alone, shaking, alive. He walks home, slowly, his legs weak, his mind racing. When he gets to his apartment, he locks the door, sits on the floor, and cries. Not from fear, from clarity. Because for the first time in his life, Vincent Culligan understands actions have consequences, and some consequences are delivered quietly, by men who don't need to raise their voices, by men who don't need to throw punches, just men who understand order. Word spreads, quietly. Vincent Culligan is back. No bruises, no cuts, no broken bones. But he's different. He doesn't drink at O'Malley's anymore. No, doesn't gamble, doesn't talk loud. He goes to work, comes home, keeps his head down. People notice. You see Vinny? Yeah, man's like a ghost. What happened to him? Don't know, but he learned something. And Harlem understands. Not through headlines, not through violence, through silence. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. Bumpy Johnson didn't kill Vincent Culligan. He didn't break him. He just taught him. 3 days in the dark. 3 days to think. 3 days to understand. You don't touch Mamie Johnson. And you don't test Bumpy's mercy. Chapter 6. Legacy of Restraint. Sunday morning. Harlem wakes slow. Church bells ring across 125th Street. Families walk to service in their best clothes. The smell of breakfast drifts from open windows. Bacon, eggs, grits simmering on stoves. And Bumpy Johnson sits at his kitchen table, coffee in hand, newspaper open. Mamie is across from him, sipping tea, reading the arts section. Neither of them has mentioned Vincent Culligan. They don't need to. The silence between them says everything. Bumpy folds the paper, sets it aside. I need to take a walk. Mamie looks up. Where to? Lenox. She nods. No questions. She knows. Bumpy stands, buttons his jacket, straightens his tie in the hallway mirror. Mamie watches him from the doorway. Bumpy. He turns. Be home for dinner. He smiles. Rare but real. Always. Bumpy walks east. The Sunday streets are quieter than usual. Peaceful. He passes the barber shop, closed. The corner store, shuttered. The church on 132nd, overflowing with voices lifted in song. He doesn't stop, just keeps walking. Iron hands in his pockets, hat tipped against the morning sun. To anyone watching, he's just a man taking a stroll. But Harlem knows better. Bumpy Johnson doesn't walk without purpose. He reaches Claude Winter's building, climbs the 3 flights, knocks twice. Claude opens the door, surprised. He's dressed for church, pressed shirt, dark slacks, a thin tie. Mr. Johnson. Bumpy, remember? Claude smiles. Bumpy. I wasn't expecting you. I know. Got a minute before service? Claude checks his watch, nods. Always. They sit in the small living room. No coffee this time. Just 2 men in Sunday quiet. Bumpy reaches into his coat, pulls out an envelope, thicker than the last 2. He places it on the table. Claude looks at it but doesn't move. Bumpy, I told you. It's not money. Claude hesitates. No, Bumpy taps the envelope. It's a deed. Claude blinks. What? A deed. To a small property on 134th, 2-bedroom, ground floor. Nothing fancy, but it's yours if you want it. Claude stares at him. I can't accept that. You can, and you will. Bumpy's voice is calm but firm. You helped my wife. You did the right thing when no one else would. In my world, that doesn't get forgotten. Claude shakes his head. I didn't do it for a reward. I know. That's exactly why you're getting one. Claude looks down, his hands folded in his lap. I don't know what to say. Say you'll take it. Claude is silent for a long moment. Then, why me, Bumpy? There are 100 men in Harlem who've done more for you. Bumpy leans back. Those men work for me. They're loyal because I pay them, because I protect them. Dan, that's business. He gestures toward Claude. You don't work for me. You don't owe me. You helped Mamie because it was right, not because it was profitable. Bumpy's voice softens. That's rare, Claude. Rarer than you think. And when I see it, I honor it. Claude looks at the envelope, then at Bumpy. What if I don't take it? Then I'll give it to someone else. But I'd rather give it to you. Claude exhales, reaches for the envelope, opens it. Inside, a legal document. Signed, notarized, clean. Claude's name at the top. He stares at it. This is real. It is. Bumpy, I don't deserve this. You do. Bumpy stands. Claude does the same. They shake hands, long, firm. Thank you. Claude's voice is thick. Bumpy nods. Thank you, Claude, for reminding me there are still good men left. Bumpy walks to the door. Stops, turns back. One more thing. Yeah? Vincent Culligan. Claude tenses slightly. What about him? He's back. No marks, no injuries, just educated. Claude nods slowly. Good. Bumpy studies him. You're not asking what I did? I don't need to. Why not? Claude meets his eyes. Because I trust you did what was right. Bumpy smiles. You're a wise man, Claude. I just know when to trust the people around me. Bumpy tips his hat. Enjoy church. I will. You coming? Bumpy shakes his head. Not today. Gotta stop to make first. Take care, Bumpy. You too. Bumpy walks back down the stairs, into the Sunday morning light. He doesn't head home. Not yet. There's one more thing to do. He walks to 139th Street. Not his building, a different one, smaller, older. He climbs to the second floor. Mas knocks on a weathered door. A woman answers, mid-50s, gray hair pulled back, tired eyes. She sees Bumpy and stiffens. Mr. Johnson. Mrs. Culligan. She doesn't invite him in, just stands in the doorway. Guarded. If you're here about Vincent, I'm not. She blinks. Then why? Bumpy reaches into his coat, pulls out another envelope, smaller, simpler. He offers it to her. She doesn't take it. What is this? Rent, for the next 6 months. Her face hardens. I don't want your money. It's not for you. It's for your daughter. Mrs. Culligan freezes. How do you know about? I know Vincent lives here. I know he doesn't pay rent. I know you work 2 jobs to cover him and your granddaughter. Bumpy's voice is calm. No judgment. Just facts. Take the money, not for him, for her. Mrs. McCulligan stares at the envelope. Her hands tremble. Why would you do this? Because she's innocent, and she deserves better than what her father's given her. Mrs. Culligan's eyes fill. She takes the envelope. Thank you. Bumpy nods. Your son made a mistake. He's paid for it. What he does next is on him. He turns to leave. Mrs. Culligan calls after him. Mr. Johnson? He stops. He's different now, quieter. I don't know what you did, but thank you for not killing him. Bumpy looks back. I didn't do it for him. Then who? For Harlem. Violence is easy. Restraint is harder, but it lasts longer. Bumpy walks home. The sun is higher now. The street's busier. People nod as he passes. Morning, Mr. Johnson. Good morning. Bumpy. How you doing, son? Good, sir. Real good. This is his kingdom. Not built on fear, built on respect. When Bumpy reaches his apartment, Mamie's in the kitchen. The smell of greens and cornbread fills the air. She looks up when he enters. You were gone a while. Had some business. Good business? The best kind. Mamie studies him. You look lighter. Bumpy removes his hat, hangs it by the door. I feel it. He walks to her, kisses her forehead. Thank you. For what? For being you. Mamie smiles. Go wash up. Dinner's almost ready. That evening, Bumpy and Mamie sit at the table, eating, talking, laughing, the way they always do. Outside, Harlem hums. Kids play in the street. Music drifts from windows. Neighbors argue and make up and argue again. Life continues. But something has shifted, quietly, permanently. By Monday, the story has spread, not the detail. No one knows about the 3 days in the dark. No one knows about the deed. No one knows about the envelope left for Mrs. Culligan. But they know the feeling. They know Vincent Culligan came back changed. They know Claude Winters walks a little taller now. They know Mamie Johnson moves through Harlem untouchable. Not because of fear, but because of principle. And they know Bumpy Johnson is still the man who holds the line. In barbershops and corner stores, men talk. You hear about Bumpy? What about him? That thing with his wife, on the train. Yeah? Man handled it. Clean, quiet, no blood. That's Bumpy. That's power. In churches and beauty salons, women talk. Mamie Johnson don't play. Never has. And Bumpy don't either. But he don't make a mess. That's the difference. That's class. And in the streets, the young men talk. My uncle said Bumpy used to run with Stephanie St. Clair back in the day. For real? Yeah. Said Bumpy learned from her. How to move smart. How to build respect. Man's a legend. And he ain't even loud about it. That's the realest part. Weeks pass. Vincent Culligan stays quiet. Works, pays his debts, keeps his head down. He doesn't talk about what happened, doesn't need to. His silence says enough. Claude Winters moves into his new place on 134th Street. Ground floor, 2 bedrooms, clean. He invites his sister and her kids over for Sunday dinners. Starts a small garden in the back. Lives simply, honorably. The way he always has. But now with a roof that's his. And Bumpy Johnson? He continues doing what he's always done. Walking Harlem. Protecting his people. Building legacy. Not through violence, through restraint. Because that's the lesson Harlem learned that week. Not that Bumpy Johnson is dangerous. They already knew that. The lesson is this: power isn't loud. Power is calm. Power is knowing when to act and when to hold back. Power is rewarding good men. Power is teaching bad men without breaking them. Power is protecting your wife without starting a war. Power is legacy. And Bumpy Johnson's legacy isn't written in blood. It's written in respect. Years later, people will still tell the story. You remember that time someone touched Mamie Johnson on the subway? Yeah, and that veteran stepped in. Claude Winters. That's right, Bumpy gave him a whole building. And the other guy? Disappeared for 3 days and came back different. Bumpy didn't kill him? Didn't have to, just taught him. That's cold. That's smart. And when young men ask what made Bumpy Johnson great, the old-timers always say the same thing. He knew when to fight, and he knew when not to. Most men only know one. That's why most men don't last. But Bumpy did. Because he understood something most don't. What's that? Respect ain't taken. It's earned. And once you earn it, you protect it. Not with violence. With principle. Bumpy Johnson died in 1968. Heart attack. Surrounded by family. Peaceful. The funeral was standing room only. Thousands came to pay respects. Not because they feared him. Because they loved him. And somewhere in that crowd stood Claude Winters, gray-haired now, leaning on a cane. He didn't speak at the service. Didn't need to. He just stood there, remembering the man who thanked him for doing the right thing, the man who gave him a home, the man who taught Harlem what real power looks like. Because that's the legacy. Not the violence, not the fear, the restraint, the calm, the principle. That's what lasts. That's what gets remembered. That's what makes a king.